Let's discuss who's locked in for Canada, maybe who can make a push, things that you guys would like to see. And when we look at that midfield, have Kone and Eustáquio solidified themselves as the first choice in that midfield, Ollie?
I think there's a very good chance of that, yeah. I think there's going to be players like Nico Seeger and Nathan Saliba who continue to compete with Kone. But Kone's performances have been very strong, and he just gives you, I think, something that, very few midfielders can really offer you anywhere, which is just his range, like his ability to cover so much of the pitch and with so much ease, with number one, the athlete he is, but number two, also the technical ability he has to do that with and without the ball as well. I still think he's a pretty special player when he's confident and at his best. He seems to be playing his way back into that kind of shape, obviously with Sassuolo and with Canada as well. So he certainly has taken charge as the front runner to partner Eustáquio, and I continue to believe Eustáquio is basically undroppable. Like, I know, again, there's been a bit of conversation around with all these rising midfielders, could his place actually come under threat? I just don't see it. I think that Saliba is just getting started in Europe. Seeger is still building his career in Europe as well. Eustáquio is such an experienced player for club and country. He's been doing it for a while now. And obviously has consistently performed at a high level for Canada. His performance levels rarely drop in a national team jersey. So for me, he is as close to undroppable as it gets alongside Jonathan David in this Canada team still.
Yeah, still looking great despite also not getting a lot of playing time with FC Porto. And it's pretty incredible what Kone's been able to do. And I only say that, AJR, because this was a player, high expectations. And, I would say even a year and a half ago, not even up for discussion, this duo. But then between Copa America, things going on the pro side, Gold Cup, and then Jesse Marsch not really sometimes starting him, not starting him. But has Kone just reestablished himself as the guy that the other players, if they want to get into that midfield, have to beat?
Well, I won't even say reestablished, because I think he's hitting new levels that we haven't hit, but that we've been wanting to hit. Because I think with Ismail Kone, there's always no doubt that he's like a top 5 most talented player on this team. Like, when we're talking about skill, talent on this team, he's in there with the Jonathan Davids, the Alphonso Davieses, Tajon Buchanan's. He's there. Like, that's his level. But the reality is that was mostly more of potential. That was more of an idea. We'd see it for 30 minutes. We'd see it for a game. And then the next game, we wouldn't see it. Have we seen a better 4-game stretch from him than we have against Romania, Wales, Australia, and Colombia? I don't think so. Like, that's what's really exciting me right now. It's that it's consistent. 4 games in a row, he's shown up. And we've seen close to a 7, 8, or 9 out of 10 version of Ismail Kone. Whereas before, maybe you see an 8-1 game, and then the next game you're seeing a 3 or 4. That's super exciting. So if Kone can keep this up, that's huge, because that's been the knock. Can he be consistent? Can he show up every week and be a force defensively, progress the ball, just be that all-around midfielder that he has the potential to be? He's starting to show that for country and also for club. We have to remember this has probably been his most consistent stretch as well there with Sassuolo. So that's exciting. And Stefan Eustáquio is a lock. We've known that. And with Eustáquio, it's funny because when he was gone before, like whenever he'd have an injury or miss out, you'd feel his absence. And I think it's a credit to where Canada is now, that if for whatever reason Eustáquio gets like a red card next year at the World Cup, or if he maybe gets double yellows, I'm not worried, because there are guys that can step up and fill his place, unlike before. Now though, but when Eustáquio's back and he's in the team is better. And like you saw it against Colombia, like he was outstanding. He was covering a lot of ground. He frees up Kone just a little bit more too, to have that freedom, knowing that Eustáquio will just roam around. And for whatever reason, Eustáquio isn't affected by club form. It doesn't matter if he's playing 10 minutes a week or 90 minutes. He comes in and his levels are so consistent. And I think that's why Porto wanted to keep him, because they know that later in the season, if he has to play a bigger role, he's going to step up and do the job for them. So for Canada, I think Kone and Eustáquio are clearly the first choice now, but it is nice to know that if for whatever reason you have problems, you have availability, maybe form drops off for Kone, Saliba's right there, Schwanier's right there. Like, Canada's in a very good place with their midfield, and I think the hierarchy is about as clear as it's been with other positions, which is probably a nice thing for Jesse Marsch. It gives him a little less of a headache.
Yeah, Kone, it's maturity. That's the word that comes to mind. It's maturity, and you understand that it's hard to be a pro. And why is it hard? Because you have to be consistent. And now he's getting it. And that's what you're starting to see. And that's that word there. What about the back line? We know they're dealing with a lot of injuries. We know that Moise Bombito, once again, is out. We probably won't see him, till the spring. We've got Alistair Johnston, who we know is going to be out for the rest of this calendar year for sure. And Alphonso Davies, same thing with his recovery. Where is the biggest competition there, though? Because, is it just like solidified that once, Alistair Johnston, Alphonso Davies, Moise Bombito, when they come back, they're back in there. But does somebody actually have a chance to say, hey, Jesse, I can be that person. I can be your guy moving forward, Ollie?
I don't know if the starters are going to change, barring a Davies position change, but I do think the group looks a lot stronger. I'm actually really positive about the defensive depth at this point. It's been a concern for a while, even after Bombito's emergence. I just think right now, Luc de Fougereau looks so good. For a player his age and his experience, I think he's been consistently excellent and is a really good third option for them to have. I think Derek Cornelius has shown without Bombito that he's really a senior player in this team now who can be relied upon and trusted in the biggest games. The fullback depth, you've got loads of it now with Larea, with Nico Sigur, both playing really well. So you've got plenty of options there to challenge Alistair Johnston or to cover for Davies if you want to play him further forwards. And now you've got seemingly another dual national coming in who's playing at a good level in Alfie Jones of Middlesbrough, a championship defender playing on a regular basis. That's an impactful addition to this group who goes straight into that centre-back mix. Probably competing with de Fougereau to challenge the two starters. So I actually think they're in a good spot there. I think they're getting consistently good performances out of a lot of players. The big question is just getting Moise Bombito back in healthy in one piece in plenty of time for the World Cup. And if that happens, I think they're pretty well set.
Yeah, I think I agree, because Moise Bombito, Derek Cornelius, those are your guys. I think that at this point is solidified. Even you throw Jones into the mix. Can he push Cornelius? Maybe, but I still think Cornelius is playing enough from the front there that, Cornelius, it's Cornelius and Bombito if both are fit, if both are healthy. The fullback is right where you have more discussion. But I do want to just throw out something that Jesse Marsch said yesterday in his press conference. I listened back. Obviously, someone asked him about Richie Larea, hard not to with how good he's been. And Jesse Marsch did kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, saying it's going to be hard to leave him out of the team. He's at this point starting to become a locked-in starter. He can also play right back. Marsch really made that really clear, almost wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I think it's almost forgotten that it's tough for Alistair Johnston because he's been so fantastic for Canada. I love watching him play for Celtic. But there's been a period over the last 2 years where obviously he was outstanding at Copa America, should have been in the team of the tournament, but he hasn't always fit in as well as he did, especially under John Herdman, where he was an absolute rock. I do wonder, especially when you see Jesse Marsch make a comment like that, if he thinks when everyone's back, might be Larea, Bombito, Cornelius, Davies. And that's your back four. And of course, that's a tough question, is how do you leave a guy like Alistair Johnston out? But Richie Larea, every time he takes the field, he makes that a possibility. And I think that's kind of slept on, where, yes, you kind of think, okay, you can keep Larea at left back and it's Seeger versus Johnson. But I seriously do wonder if we're going to start to see Larea versus Johnson at that right back. And I think that could be a fascinating battle, because I still think Alistair Johnston's going to have every shot at winning that. He's going to this is maybe what he's going to need to really hit another level himself for Canada. I think there could be some really interesting competition at the right back when everyone's available, because of how good Larea has been.
Well, and I think it's because of how good Larea has been that I don't know, and this is it's not a shot at Alistair Johnston. It's just talking to what Richie Larea has been able to do. I don't know how many people would raise their eyebrow at Richie starting over Alistair. Would you? Would you go, oh.
Yeah, not Richie starting, but Johnston not playing. I just think again. Really? I understand what we're saying about has Johnston always been at his best this year? Maybe not. You look at the Mexico game as an example of that. But he's just been such an ever-present part of this Canada team. And I think you have to be a little bit careful of being prisoner of the past few games as opposed to the past few years, where you've got guys like Johnston, Eustachio, Buchanan's had a little bit of ups and downs with Jesse Marsch, but now he's back in the team. These guys have been there and done it for a long time for Canada now. And I think taking them out is still a really big call.
But we just had this conversation about Kyle Larin. Yeah, so
it's not necessarily... It's not necessarily about Larea. Like, Larea always finds his way into the team. He's played the third most minutes under Jesse Marsh, like when he wasn't in the starting lineup to begin with when Marsh took over. So I think Larea will probably find a position. And I think, like I said, it could be left back. But I think Johnston not starting would still be a major shock, a big decision for Jesse Marsh to make.
I mean, we just had this conversation about Kyle Larin. Like, the history's there. At one point, he was the leading goal scorer for the men's national team and then, duking it out with Jonathan David. Yeah. But at some point, your history can only take you so far and how you're performing. Now, the difference, of course, is Kyle Larin not performing versus Alistair Johnston being injured.
Yes.
I get that. But I just, I still think with the way Richie Larea has been playing, it's not like at least to me, it wouldn't be such an egregious change in the lineup. Because if Davies comes back and he's in that left side, and then you got Bombito and you got Cornelius and then you got Richie, I might go, interesting, but it wouldn't completely be like, oh my God, I can't believe he's starting over Johnston. Do you know what I mean?
No, I do know what you mean. A lot rests on Davies, right? And if he's just like locked into him as a left back, or if there's some room for flexibility there. But I just still think like Alistair Johnston has been such a key player, always in the lineup for several years now. And it's like, again, like you said with Larin, he's kind of fallen out of form and favor a little bit at club level that has affected his national team stock and his national team performances as well. That hasn't happened with Johnston. Like, he's still playing for a top club when he is fit, week in, week out at a very high level. So I'd be surprised, but you could be right.
Yeah. Well, let's quickly get to the goalkeepers because I feel like we've beaten this to death and we're not really getting any answers. But I wonder if based on who Jesse Marsh is choosing to play against, right? So, you have Dane St. Clair against Colombia, which is a high-ranked team. Does that give you any indication of which way he's leaning, AGR, as the sun is starting to brighten up the side of your face?
Yeah, this is maybe it's a sign, it's an omen. But I mean, this one I won't lean into it, because Jesse Marsh did admit he wanted to give Crepeau the hometown game. I think that one made sense from a feel-good perspective. For what I will say for Dane Sinclair, it feels like a lot of this battle has been like Crepeau having the slight edge because we just hadn't seen a signature moment from St. Clair in a big game. What I will say, St. Clair got that moment yesterday, and I think that makes things interesting because when his team needed him, it was 0-0. End of the game, he made a fantastic stop there on the end to keep it out off the post. And I think that's huge because this battle is razor thin right now. Like club form, St. Clair is the edge, maybe country form, Crepeau is at the edge. A moment like this inches St. Clair that much closer. So if anything, Marsh is probably seeing that and thinking like, darn, like it just makes his decision that much harder. But I do think that does give me confidence that seeing that from St. Clair, that no matter who Marsh picks, that was a big vote that, okay, yeah, it is really close and it's going to come down to little details such as stylistic things.
See, I think, and this is entirely speculative because obviously I can't read Jesse Marsh's minds, but I still feel like he wants Dane Sinclair to like take it, right? To really grab it and be the guy. And I just, last night was a very good performance from him, but I'm not sure he's quite done that yet when you look at it over the body of work, because I think you could have come out of Copa America and Max Crepeau is your number one and you're playing him every game and no one would have complained or asked any questions because of the way he's played for Canada over the years and particularly at Copa America. But he didn't do that. He let Sinclair back in, and we know Sinclair has a better club situation right now. And we know, I think, that Sinclair has a profile in terms of his size and athleticism that Jesse Marsh probably likes out of a goalkeeper. And I still think he's trying to give him that runway to take the job and to really like grab it with both hands. So I don't know where they're leaning right now. I'm not sure they know, and I don't think they're going to know after the November games as well. They're going to get one each, and can you really see something decisive in that time to make your decision? So I think they'll wait right up until that March window, look at club form, club situation, who's playing better at that level, and then they're just going to have to choose one. But I'm not sure they're going to do so in a position of knowing like this guy is clearly better than the other one.
I'm trying to find a coin here. Is that what it's going to come down to? We're just going to flip a coin before the World Cup when it comes to who's starting for Canada between the sticks.